Well, 2 inmates have died from the coronavirus at the Terre, Haute prison complex, where 2 executions are planned for next week. Another 40-plus inmates at the facility currently have confirmed cases of COVID-19. The virus deaths are likely to raise alarm with advocates and lawyers for the condemned men over the spread of the virus. Advocates for 2 of the men executed in July fought unsuccessfully to delay their executions over coronavirus concerns. Execution witnesses are required to wear masks, and their temperatures are taken before they are permitted on the prison grounds. The federal prison system has struggled to combat the coronavirus pandemic behind bars, where social distancing is nearly impossible. The mother of one of the 2 inmates who was scheduled to be executed Thursday at the federal penitentiary in Terre Haute is pleading with President Trump to spare his life. Adam Pinsker reports.
In 2000, Christopher Villalba was 19 when a federal court sentenced him to death for shooting Todd Bagley in the head near Fort Hood, Texas. The court says that Villalba and some other teens also killed Bagley's wife and set their vehicle on fire with their bodies inside the car. 3 other teens who were under 18 at the time were sentenced to lengthy prison terms. Another man, Brandon Bernard, is also in death row for his role in the crime. Now, Chris's mom says that her son has come a long way since being sent to this facility 20 years ago and that his life should be spared. For the last 2 decades, anytime Lisa Brown visited her son, it was inside the concrete walls of the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute.
When Christopher first got there, it was less than a year before Timothy McVeigh was executed.
McVeigh was sentenced to death for firebombing a federal building in Oklahoma City, killing 168 people in 1995. Brown says Villalba also knew to one degree or another every man who's been executed since McVeigh, including the last inmate to be put to death, Keith Nelson. Villalba told his mom he saw Nelson hours before his execution last month.
And he said he started violently vomiting in his cell. And he said it was just horrific. And he said that the staff kind of played it off as he'd eaten something bad. But he said he knew it was Keith's nerves.
Lisa says her son made an effort to get to know everyone on the range, as it is called, the section of this sprawling complex near the Wabash River that houses some of the 57 inmates on federal death row. Nearly half of them are black, including Christopher, who is biracial and will be the first black man executed by the federal government since 2003. Just this week, the Death Penalty Information Center released a report showing a long history of racial disparity in how the death penalty is applied to black people.
You've got to be able to apply it fairly, consistently, in a non-discriminatory way.
Villalba's case ended up in the federal system because his crime occurred on a military reservation. Like the 5 other men executed before him, those defendants were also convicted of committing a federal crime, such as kidnapping and carjacking while committing murder.
These cases are bad cases. There's no question about that. But that doesn't make them federal cases. And they're the type of cases that are traditionally handled by state courts.
Brown says she only talked to her son's defense attorney once during his trial and says her son contracted meningitis at birth and suffered brain damage as a result, but the issue never came up during the trial.
What I've been told is the trial attorneys chose not to have him evaluated.
Lisa says despite his 2 decades behind bars, she remains close to her son and has seen him transform into a different person.
The first couple of years I can remember he was very angry.
During his time behind bars, Villalba became a Messianic Jew and spent 2 years convincing prison staff to allow him to conduct weekly services. Now he ministers regularly to fellow inmates. 8 of those inmates wrote character statements about Christopher. All of them detail the positive impact he had on them.
The people that knew him like decades ago would go, oh my gosh, where's the guy that we grew up with?
We asked Lisa if her son takes responsibility for his role in the murders of Todd and Stacy Bagley.
The only thing that my son has said that he's deeply remorseful for the pain that he's caused the family and me. With his actions that day.
Christopher has access to email and phone calls while on death row, and despite being confined for 2 decades, he speaks to his mother every day, and she visits him as much as she can.
He and I have always been very, very close. We have the kind of relationship that we can just about complete each other's sentences.
But as Villalba's execution date draws near, Lisa says she's frustrated her son is more resigned to facing his own death than she is.
Of course, that's hard for me. to accept, because my flesh is selfish and I want him here with me.
Barring clemency from President Trump, Villalba will be executed by lethal injection this Thursday. Another man, William LaCroix, is set to be executed this Tuesday here in the same facility for murdering and raping a Georgia woman in 2001. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Adam Pinsker.